Yo, hello. Alright, so my name's Greg. Some of you guys might know me as DJ Dandruff, aka DJ Backney, aka DJ Ingrown Toenail, aka DJ Minimum Wage, aka if I had the phrase GD to any of the insecurities about myself, it makes it a little bit easier to deal with. Guys, so I was at the zoo, and I saw the zookeeper picking up a pile of unicorn poo, and I was like, oh, I can't believe this shit. This woman's trying to make her money than me. Ridiculous. Guys, you guys like food jokes?
Yeah.
Food jokes? Cool. You know, if you think about it, even though they're called hard-shell tacos, they're extremely easy to break. I really hate when people describe desserts as being very rich, you know, because I barely make minimum wage, you know, so like, why is this bread pudding making more money than me? It's only obviously devoured by human being. What is that?
Stop.
Okay, so my dog was coughing a lot, and my mom and dad, we didn't really know what was wrong. We were kind of just hoping that she was just choking on a chicken bone or something. Because that's like a fairly simple procedure. You kind of just have to make the dog throw up, and then they'll feel a lot better afterwards. But we ended up taking our dog to the vet, and we ended up finding out that she has congestive heart failure. Yeah, which is sad, you know. But I mean, like my dad has congestive heart failure too. But I feel like you guys aren't gonna feel sorry for him because you know, he's not a dog. It's kind of the truth. But ever since I found out that my dog is dying, I felt like I can basically get away with anything, and like no one would stop me. Like if I really wanted to, I can like credit card fraud going to like buying a pair of Yeezys, and then just be like, oh my god, I'm so sorry that your dog is dying. Here, please take all the sneakers you need to fill the void in your life that's preventing you from feeling happiness. Yeah. So I actually wrote that kind of a while ago, which is unfortunate now because my dog actually passed away, you know, recently. Yeah. But what's even worse is that like I still don't have a pair of Yeezys. Which sucks. So November 8th, 2016. What a magical day. What a magical day. For those of you who don't know, November 8th was election day. And it was a weird day, to be honest. Like, especially living in Southern California, because I feel like we definitely live in a very liberal bubble. You know, I feel like everyone here kind of thought, you know, Homegirl was going to win it, but spoiler alert, that's not how it ended. You know, and like I had very high expectations throughout the entire day. You know, I was very optimistic, and like I even had class from like 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. So like I wasn't getting any election results throughout that entire time period. So when I did get out of class, I like looked at my phone and I was just like, what is happening? Yeah. But I was also hungry, so the one place that I decided to go on election night, which like in hindsight was probably not the best idea, I decided to go to Chick-fil-A. Yeah. So I was at Chick-fil-A and I was in line, and there's this like small little group of like little teenagers. They weren't being like overly disruptive or anything, but there was just like one little girl in particular that was just being like a little bit more so than everyone. Like she was just being a little bit extra. Like there's one thing that she did. Like there was like one too many of them in the group to sit like at a booth at Chick-fil-A. So she tried to put two tables together, and so her entire group can sit together at the same table. But her group just like called her over, and they're just like, oh, we're just gonna squeeze in here. And she just left the two tables unattended. And like the poor little Chick-fil-A worker came up behind her and put the two tables back. And it was just like more work she didn't have to do. Yeah, and I don't want to like push any racial stereotypes. I don't want to like judge a book by its cover or anything. But the little girl, she was a little white blonde girl. Shouldn't be any red flags there. But like being that it was election night, like I feel like I was just like walking on eggshells. Okay. So, okay, but I'm not done. Okay, so the little girl, her hair was in cornrows, and number 2, she was wearing an Eminem sweatshirt. Eminem the rapper, yeah. So there's this older gentleman also waiting by the side of the cash register for his food at Chick-fil-A, and the little girl, she goes and walks up to him and she goes, hey, who did you vote for? Did you vote for Donald Trump? And being in the safe haven for conservatives at Chick-fil-A, the man responds, yes, I voted for Donald Trump. Like, saying it in a tone where he wasn't like entirely proud of what he did, but he was like, you know, I did what I had to do. Yeah, which is like a whole nother thing. But but the little girl, she hears this and she responds by saying, good job, and proceeds to give him a high five. And as I saw this, I was just like, this is crazy. Like, this is insane. So after I saw this interaction happen, I walked up to the cash register and I ordered a large spicy chicken sandwich meal with a lemonade, and it made me feel like just a little bit better about everything that was happening. Yeah, cool. Speaking of Donald Trump, though, Kanye West. Seamless transition. Yeah, there's a part of me that like actually really wants Kanye West to run for president in 2020. Like especially against Donald Trump. Like, imagine like watching a presidential debate between Kanye West and Donald Trump, and like how great that would be. Like, I would just love to see Kanye West. Like, no one asked a question yet, but like he just walks up to the podium and he goes, "Donald Trump doesn't care about black people," and just drops the mic. Like, if I saw that happen, I would line up at the polls already, as if I was lining up to buy a pair of Yeezys. Yeah. And you know, Bernie Sanders, you know, he had some pretty cute t-shirts when he was campaigning. But if Kanye West were to run for president in 2020, Kanye West would have the best presidential campaign merch of all time. Guys, I have to come clean about something. I don't know how to say it, but I'm a Kanye West fan. And I've been for a very long time. Yeah, and like I've realized that there's like different levels to being a Kanye West fan. You know, there's like people who like completely despise Kanye West for everything that he is. You know, they think he's completely self-absorbed. You know, they think he's arrogant, and like I get that, I can see that, but also like he makes really good music, so like I can look past all that. And then there's people who like listen to Kanye West music. You know, they're a fan of him. If he's like playing 12 days in LA, they at least like catch like buy cheap tickets to at least one of the shows. And then there's people who like completely worship everything that Kanye West does. And I realize that this is the tier level of the Kanye West fandom community that I'm a part of. Ever since he was doing these live streams of his newest album, The Life of Pablo, and a bunch of movie theaters. So essentially what he was doing this big event at Madison Square Garden where he was showing off his new fashion line, which was basically just a bunch of people wearing clothes that people who lived in the districts and any of the Hunger Games movies would have worn. But, so he had this event going on, and over the speakers at Madison Square Garden, he was playing this newest album, Life of Pablo, and it was really cool. He was streaming this event in a bunch of different movie theaters, and I was at one of the movie theaters showing this event, and you know, we were listening to the album, and like, you know, listening to the lines, I feel like me and Taylor might still have sex for the very first time with a bunch of other people. It was like nothing short of euphoric. It was so good. So we listened to the album, you know, and then, you know, Kanye West, he gets on the mic after and he does this whole Kanye West rant thing he does, you know, people don't invest in Kanye West ideas, you know, and you don't have the answer sway. And I was all for it. I was all for it and everything until Kanye West, the rapper, he goes on to announce that he's working on a video game. And like the only good rapper video game is like Parappa the Rapper, with like a very far second place going like 50 Cent's Good Rich or Die Trying. But so he shows a preview of this video game, and essentially the entire premise of the video game is that you're playing as Kanye West's mom, as an angel, flying into the gates of heaven, and that's it. That's the entire game. And as I was watching this, I was like, you know, that actually looks like a pretty cool game. I'd probably play that. And like literally 2 seconds later, I caught myself and I was like, wait, I'm definitely being that Kanye West fan right now. Like if Kanye West announced that he was designing like a new line of Swiffer dusters, like if you press a button, it squirts out ashes of his old Yeezy shoes that he used to wear, and he claims that clears the floor, I'd probably buy like 3 of those. So, yeah. So I know that joke kind of took way too long to get to the punchline of Kanye West designing a line of Swiffer dusters, but like, just imagine Kanye West designing a line of Swiffer dusters. That is the funniest thing I've ever thought of. Like all my jokes after this are all newfound glories, all downhill from here, you know. So, and I take full 100% credit for that joke, you know. Like unless like Kanye West actually goes on to announce that he like wants to design a line of Swiffer dusters, thereby like sampling one of my jokes for a business investment. Which I could totally fine with, like just knowing the fact that Kanye West was like inspired by something I said. I would be totally fine with that. Yeah. But like just imagine being at a Kanye West concert and like seeing Kanye West perform Runaway, and like in the middle of the song, he goes like on a 40-minute rant about like how the pads on his Swiffer dusters aren't made from the right material, and they're not cleaning floors properly, and he's just like, let me clean the floors, bro. Okay. See, the joke is that like I keep on going about the Kanye West Swiffer duster thing as if Kanye West was ranting about anything else. Okay. As my set comes to an end, I just want to say thank you to anyone who's laughed at me thus far. It feels pretty good in this situation in particular, but I just wanted to end my set with a little poem I wrote, inspired by one of my favorite comedians, Kanye West. And it's a poem about comedians, kind of just what I think about comedians nowadays. It's not particularly funny, but I do hope you enjoy it, because it's something like this. Okay. I miss the old comics. Make people laugh comics. The never sad comics. Politics in the trash comics. I hate the new comics, the introspective comics, the no respect comics, cashing the checks comics. I miss the smart comics, crafting the art comics. I gotta say, at that time I liked to meet a comic. See, I'm amazed about comics. There wasn't any comics, and now looking around, and there's so many comics. I used to love comics. I even performed at Josh's house. I thought it was a comic. I made a joke about comics, calling this the old comics. And that'd be so comics. That's all it was, comics. We still love comics, and I love you like comics stuff to make Trump jokes. Cool.